Right, not each target is not weighted the same, does not
Okay.
have to be weighted the same. In
So
some
that's set up
classes.
by the teacher, which one they're, okay.
Do you,
And they
is there
are
a way
course
of,
alike.
is there a way of seeing that on the Infinite Campus, what they're weighted? I know at the old system, like WebGrider, you can see what percent everything came out.
That I don't know.
It should be on the syllabus, when they talk about their targets, they should denote how much weight is given to each learning target as well.
On BB9 or Infinite Campus?
This would be on BB9, this form.
Yes, you have
So
to
it's
go back
another
to their
place to
syllabus.
go.
They have to go back to their syllabus.
So piggybacking on that, with some learning targets, they have numerous grades within a learning target. And Infinite Campus in the past, it would average out those grades but drop it to the lowest quarter. So you could have 0.02 away from a 4. If you had 3.98, it would just automatically drop you down to 3.75.
That,
Why doesn't it use true numbers? Why does it, and math is always rounding up, and it always dropped. I don't understand why it does that.
that's why the declaring at the end of the semester is so important, so that hopefully a teacher would not let that happen. So to take a look at the calculated grade as guidance, and taking a look at the body of work to say the body of work shows that the student is not at an A/B, truly they're at an A. That's the grade that the
But if
student
it's not,
deserves.
if it's not showing the true grade throughout, if it's always showing AB, because it always dropped it down, then when they go back at the end of the semester and say, well, let's look at this, you're consistently AB, when really they're just a margin away from A, but it's always dropping it down. So is it really a true reflection?
I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, I'm gonna try, and I'm not sure if I'm following, so, the grade that a teacher is entering into Infinite Campus right now is not a number grade, they're entering in an A, an AB, or a B, so they're not entering in a number. They're
I'm
entering
seeing
in a
numbers
letter.
and
They're entering in a
letters.
letter.
I'm seeing numbers and letters.
Okay, that should not be happening, you should only be seeing letters as grade.
Right now, that's what you're
Right.
seeing.
But I see both.
So let me know what is going on, I'll check into their.
And that rounding
just to see
down
if
that occurred last year isn't happening this year. That was a challenge of the first year of navigating the system with Infinite Campus. And so that math that you saw won't happen this year.
So
You'll
is
see
it
the
gonna
true
be
grade
true
point
numbers?
at the end.
With letters.
But only at the end. The numbers only at the end for
Oh.
grade point versus during the context of the class. You shouldn't see numbers, you should see letters.
So then it will take all those letters at the end, convert it to numbers, and then get a true number?
Just for the grade point, yes.
Okay.
So last year, the 4s and 3s that we lived in during the course,
Mhm.
done. The only numbers happened at the end with the grade point, that slide.
Would it only be on the transcript, like in my day when I was in high school? That's how it was. It was just letters on, but then the transcript itself is where the numbers were.
So this might help a little bit. So a teacher is putting in just letter grades. At some point, they do convert to a number, whether it be 4, according to your magnet there. Whoops. Sorry. This is showing some of that math. So if a GPA, taking a look at the averaging of the courses, all English, math, science, all of those courses, a GPA is going to be a true decimal at the end. For a class, a student can only get a 4, a 3.5, a 3, based on the letters that are put in. So according to that.
But if you have a learning target and it has, let's say it has 2 assignments.
Okay.
And it has an A and an AB. The average is 3.5. And if that doesn't get rolled into the GPA, you're losing those percentages.
So so you're worried, so a 3 and a 3.5 would be a 3.75?
Right.
You're saying, okay, so then the teacher has to look to see really at the end, what is the quality of work that's being done?
But if a teacher has 120 students, are they going line by line and saying, well, they're really 3.98? or are they really 3.5, 3.75? And it matters. For those kids that have excelled and are at the top, that number matters. And I think this is taking away from that.
I said that in the beginning too. But I guess it's how it was when I was in school. We had like
Just,
8 people with 4.0s, I guess.
You know, and I
just
think it's a
from my perspective, my son's a junior, so this is his 3rd year here, and, I don't think he's ever had a case where the teacher at the end of the year didn't understand where he was at. And so he's had a good experience with the teachers here at North of really along the way paying attention to him as a student and assessing his ability along the way and grading that. So even though they may have 120 students, from my experience, they've done a good job of staying on top of that. So even rather than a true sense of just looking at the numbers, they kind of know the students all the way through and have been assessing based off of that. So that's just my perspective from the feedback that I've seen, that it's been rather positive. There may be other instances where it's not, but that's the experience I've had with the teachers here.
I think that the declaring the grade allows working the grade all the way through and really staying on top of what that student is, what that grade should be every 2-3 weeks. That's the process that I would like to see us all go to, and we will eventually get there. But that will help stay true to really what the body of evidence of work is, so that a semester doesn't go by and then all of a sudden we're looking for, how did that student perform 3 months ago? So the declaring option allows teachers and students too, because it's partly their responsibility, to make sure that they're up on what that feedback is looking like and allowing them to have conversations along the way. I would hope that we don't ever get to the end of a semester and a student has the perception that he or she is an A student and all of a sudden they have a C on their report card. That conversation, as I was talking about before, teaching our kids how to advocate for themselves and have adult conversations about, where am I, what do I need, this is what my goal is, how do I get there? I think that is something that we need to continue to help coach our children through. I hear what you're saying.
I just think the number matters, and I think colleges think the number matters.
That is, I might disagree with you on that.
They're looking at the package, but that's part of the package.
And they're looking at our school profile and they're understanding where our students have come from. Waukesha has a wonderful reputation, and they know what our grading system is. They have the ability to take a look at what we're offering as far as our AP courses, what our grading scale was, what it currently is, and able to make some of those judgments as well. They have to put everybody on, they have to be able to compare apples to apples somehow too, so they're able to do that. I hear what you're saying.
We had another question that
Okay.
came up on 2 different sheets. It was regarding middle school grading and how that might be a little different from high school.
Okay.
Can you flip back to the scale?
Yep.
So middle school scale looks very similar to this. It's the same scale, except middle school is living not in the world of letter grades.
Right, they don't have this column right here.
So the letter grade column would not be present. And then the other change would be on if you can go to the learning target, the Infinite Campus slide. The other change would be that at the high school level, those 3 learning targets for the AP English language course at the top would roll together into one overall grade for that course. At the middle school level, students will receive a grade for each of those learning targets, and that would be the end of their grade for that period. So it won't overall roll up into a science grade or math grade, just a target grade. And without a letter grade, there's no grade point calculation for those students.
Why are we not being consistent from school to school? Why would it be different in middle school? Why would we not use letter grades? Doesn't seem to make sense that you would be changing the methodology from school to school.
Right, so because there isn't a need for a grade point average at the middle school level, and for the need to give better descriptive feedback on each of those learning targets, there's no need to roll that into one overall course grade.
If If you're trying to teach them to advocate for themselves and know how the process works, wouldn't we be better to start that sooner rather than waiting until they're in high school when it does matter to then say, oh, by the way, you're supposed to understand this process?
Yes, great point. So the plan for middle school 8th grade teachers is to do that in the classroom, at the end of the first semester and at the end of second semester, to take the high school scale, the equivalent letter grades, and walk through that with students so they can see their grade point equivalent and what that would look like at high school, but they won't actually calculate for them on the report cards at the middle school level. So they're gonna do it, what you just said, to instruct them and get them prepared, but do it at that point versus as a whole system, because there's really the need for that
And
grade point.
it is consistent because the language is the exact same, and that's really what the focus is the understanding of what students know and are able to do. So there's no letter grade, but proficiency, and the definition you see in proficiency is what the students will get at the middle school level. So it is the same, there's just not a letter grade based on what Jason said, but it is consistent because the important piece is the language. Just like our rubrics, the important piece is the rubric language and the descriptors and giving that direct feedback and that timely feedback and accurate feedback. That the scales are the same with the language, just not a letter grade for that.
So what harm is there by not just using the letter grade? If that's what they're gonna be going to and that's what they're using, what's the reason for not including it?
Great question, again. Because there's no need for grade point average, because there's no need for class rank at the middle school level, because we want to get into the descriptive feedback around each of those learning targets, no need to roll that all into one course grade. So you don't need to roll it into a course grade, no need for that overall letter grade, just to get the descriptive feedback using that middle column of descriptors on each target.
So
More of
does
a
it
growth model.
translate the same way? So us as parents, if you choose not to use it, we could use it to help start getting them familiarized with it? It's not gonna translate anything differently, it's just you're refusing to use the
Right.
letter, but we could speak the letter to our children?
Yes.
Becky, if you go back to the,
You're gonna see an ABB and a PRO, those are the letters you're gonna see.
Becky, if you go back to the report card, the difficult part,
This, wait,
with the actual grades, with the AP English on it,
oh,
Infinite Campus.
Infinite Campus, thank you. The really difficult part, and here's what's difficult, when you get assigned an overall grade, it takes a lot of the attention away from those learning targets above. And especially in middle school, that's when we really want to help focus our kids on what are the specific things that you need to work on so that you can be successful at the high school. So once you assign that overall grade, what we quickly do, and what I notice myself doing, is looking at that overall grade and kind of ignoring the upper part unless it's an issue. What we really want to do is really focus on those learning targets, because those are what's going to tell our child how they can grow best and what areas they can grow best with.
I feel like, I agree with proficient, advanced, all that, but from when this was rolled out and a lot of our kids were elementary age, they were told an A is not a 4. A's are, or 4s are way up here, that's not an A, you can't get an A. So now you've equated them back to a 4 is an A. It seems very inconsistent on how these kids are supposed to look at what their grades are. What you told us, you all told us, 4s are way up here, they're not A's, and now it's all back. So it seems like it's really confusing for parents and for kids.
I'm agreeing that this new grading scale, going back to the A's, B's, C's, D's is better.
Well, it's better, but it's
But
confusing. Do you see how that's confusing?
that's where the
When
confusion
they
is.
said time and time again, and teachers said, a 4 is not an A. A 4 is not an A. Don't expect a 4. 4s are not A's. They made it a 4 seem like it was unachievable, and now, you rolled back to the old way. It sends a very mixed message to kids and parents, I think.
I agree, and I think, I don't know what happened at the elementary school as far as not being achievable. I know that
Right.
was not the language that we ever spoke here, as far as a 4.
Well, but don't expect a 4 on stuff. That's way up here, and that's basically
And
what.
we have not talked that language because we.
But all these kids who are here now came from
Right,
that
came from that.
language.
That was what they
of-
always heard, because the way
Right.
they always heard it in elementary schools when the 1 through 4 came out was, and it was given to the kids and to the parents, if they are getting 3s, they're doing great. And then the parents was, but 3's always been a B, what are you talking about, they're doing great, that's average.
So it's like you have to
but
retrain
confused
these
with
kids
that.
to
Yeah.
this new system too.
And I
Right.
think,
That's where the confusion is.
I, I would like to say I'm speaking off the record, but I'm not